In this volume, I have Star Trek Section 31, Star Trek Starfleet Academy, as well as, of course, some birthdays, of course, our featured artist, and a starship for sale. This is the Star Trek Void, where I try to fill in the gaps between new episodes with a little news, a little information, and hopefully a little bit of entertainment. And in this volume, just like any other, we are going to start off with those birthdays. And our first one, like most of the others, are going to be set up by TrekMovie.com. Wishing a very happy birthday to John Cho, Hikaru Sulu in the Kelvinverse Star Trek movies. He's also the author of a best-selling YA book about a young Korean-American boy during the LA riots of the early 90s. That sounds pretty interesting. I may have to go check that out. So a very happy birthday to author and accomplished actor John Cho. Also provided by TrekMovie.com, a happy birthday to Shannon Phil Sito Jaxa on Star Trek TNG. She was introduced in the first duty as part of Wesley Crusher's Nova Squadron with Nick Locarno, and was one of the 4 junior officers featured in Lower Decks, then reprised the role on Star Trek Lower Decks. And of course, the saddest part of her storyline is when she was set off, it looked like she was badly treated and never came back. Moving along, a very happy birthday to Robin Curtis, who took over the role of Saavik for Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, and Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, and played Talara T'Pol, probably saying that wrong because it sounds like T'Pol, Star Trek TNG 2-part episode, Gambit. Yeah, I remember being really upset when Kirstie Alley was replaced, but she did a really good job. And I remember my mother, oh my gosh, my mother was so upset when 4 came out and she wasn't pregnant. Then we later find out that was originally part of the plan, but things took a turn. So, very happy birthday to Robin. Very cool to see her playing multiple parts. One of our newest Star Trek Strange New Worlds cast is also celebrating a birthday. This is a very happy birthday to Carol Kane. I still have a bunker in Vermont where I used to live in case this whole no money socialist utopia things turn out to be a fad. I love that. That's a great line. Happy birthday to the one, the only Carol Kane. BTW, the Louvre is on hold. Strange New World, Star Trek family. Nice. And this one was actually shared by Strange New Pod. Trying to bury it, it's just tough because StarTrekMovie.com just rolls them out really quick. This next one is, of course, a happy birthday to Malcolm McDowell, who was our bad guy for generations. It was not surprising and yet surprising. I don't know why. Happy birthday to the magnificent Malcolm McDowell, Uncle Malcolm to Alexander Siddig, who will forever be remembered by Star Trek fans as Dr. Saran, who killed Captain Kirk in Star Trek Generations. Yeah, that's another one of those fun little connections behind the scenes of Star Trek trivia-ness. Family. They're like really family. Now, those are all the birthdays I've collected so far, the recent ones anyway. So it's time for a little behind the scenes throwback if I can. This one is Lower Decks, sort of. Well, kind of. You'll see what I mean. This one is shared by Paramount Plus UK and Ireland. And we've got Jack Quaid and, of course, Jonathan Frakes having a chat about a scene. So yeah, but this is actually Strange New Worlds. See where it gets fun and confusing. Nothing to see here, just Jack Quaid and Jonathan Frakes having fun on the set of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Hashtag Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Although I really think they could have hashtag Lower Decks there as well. And while we're trying to save Lower Decks, let's celebrate these moments that just made the show interesting. Not just fun, but like we're switching it around with Strange New Worlds, and we could see some of our actors in real life. It was fun. I enjoyed it, though. I think they could have committed more to the purple in his hair. And while we're sort of on the subject of real life, or in real life, this is this is shared by GlowJo3798, Star Trek besties, Kate Mulgrew, Robert Picardo, aka Captain Catherine Janeway, EMH, the Doctor, Star Trek Voyager. This is just an image. I'm not sure when it's taken, but it is a really nice image, just of 2 friends hanging out. Love to see when the actors are just being themselves, because they really can be with other Star Trek actors. They're all this huge family. It's got to be this great community to be a part of. But admittedly, the Star Trek community as a whole is as fun because only we would do something this interesting. I wonder if I cut down the tree in my front yard. I mean, it's not quite placed like this one, more in the middle. I think I would have enough space to like mount it on the trunk, or the stump. Well, I think I should talk to my husband. Anyway, David Mirren shares beautiful Star Trek, and we have the Enterprise for sale. Sadly, I can't quite read the numbers on here, but if you want to try to and give them a call, apparently they've got a spare Starship for sale. And as you know, I like to do a featured artist again. I had her just a little while ago. She seems to be very focused on the red-haired folks. I'm enjoying it. So another one for Trish P. Dudley, 77, continuing art, working on the cheesy poetry. Oh, and Gates McFadden is coming to Dallas in November. Oh, good information if anybody is in the Dallas area and would like to go chat with the doc herself. There you go. Do I need to see her 3 times in 1 year? It is a bit much. Well, I'm about to see a couple of actors at least twice, and a couple of them 3 times in about a year's time. So I recommend it personally, but that's just me. Although I will be seeing Anson right now, it'll probably be a while before I actually see him, and he would like to take a break from kind of everybody, at least on social media. He put this up shortly after Strange New Worlds Season 3 had finished filming, straight from Anson Mount here. We'll be back sometime later this summer. Until then, be good to yourselves and each other. And the post says, on hiatus. You know what? I can't blame them. Actors today, half of their job is acting, and the other half is keeping up on social media so they can stay relevant when so many others are also on social media. It's kind of like a competition. I'm terrible at social media. I do post occasionally little things, but yeah, it's not my best thing. Someday maybe I'll get better. Until then, yeah, I don't blame them. Now, as promised, I do have some fun tidbits about Section 31 and Starfleet Academy. First off, we're going to start with this. Star Trek Section 31 actor teases his very intense character, praise hero Michelle Yeoh. And you know what? My big head is hiding his. So let's take a look real quick. This is James Hiroyuki here, and this is kind of his article to what he has to say, which isn't a whole lot because he's not allowed to. No big shock. But we're going to scroll down and show you the little bit he does have to say about Section 31 and his character. James Hiroyuki Lau was one of the 7 actors announced as part of the cast of the Star Trek Section 31 in January, but with no character descriptions. And I do apologize for any mispronunciations of the names. I'm terrible with kind of everybody's last name. It's out doing publicity for a role in the new Apple Limited series, Presumed Innocent, and Screen Rant used the opportunity to talk about Trek. Liao was hesitant to say anything specific, but did tease his character. And this is really all he can really say. All I can say is that my guy is very, very intense. Without giving anything away, he's a broken soul and hurt people. Oh, so yeah. Oh, and hurt people hurt people. Okay. Not quite sure what that's supposed to mean. But there is a bit more below as he discusses what it was like to work with Michelle. He's maybe one of the greatest characters I've had the chance to play, and working with my hero, Michelle Yeoh, for such a long time has just been an insane time for me. I'm working with so many people that I have admired for so long. Michelle Yeoh is just everything, and I loved working with her. It was such a special cast as well. I've been on cloud 9. I'm so lucky. And they do have an image of him from Orphan Black in case anybody's thinking, I know I saw him somewhere. Maybe that's where. I'm excited to see what he does with a role in Star Trek. And we're back with my big old head. Alex Kurtzman talks avoiding Star Trek fan service and explaining floating into cells in Starfleet Academy. This article, like the previous one, is also StarTrekMovie.com provided. And I think that this article was one I wanted to share because we've all discussed how much we dislike or do like the amazing amount of fan service provided in, well, a couple of the shows we've been seeing lately, from Strange New Worlds, talking about the Gorn constantly, Lower Decks. Well, I mean, that's pretty much their whole thing. They pull up things from all of the shows on a regular basis, and it doesn't help that Boimler really loves, Voyager for one, and not the TOS crew, but the ones that came after, the TNG crews, which I wonder what the acronym's going to be for that. We'll find that out later. My point being that some of us got sick of it in Picard, have gotten sick of it in Discovery, and it's time to see what Alex Kurtzman is going to do about that. Let's read about that in this article. There are a lot of conversation in the writer's room about if a Trek reference is needed for the story. And if you take on something like the Breen, and there was obviously a lot of mystery about the Breen, what do they look like? You have to be able to answer that question, but you also have to choose the Breen because they operate a certain way that works for the story. That's a good point. It was perfect for a Bonnie and Clyde story. It was very interesting to make La'ak part of the Breen and understand what the culture was suddenly all about. So it wasn't really just fan service. I think typically fan service can be very annoying if you do it wrong and you're sort of tipping your hat to it, but you're not actually giving any depth to it. It actually feels weirdly like it achieves the opposite of what you're intending to do. So you really need to come up with a very strong reason to do it. And there he is discussing the final season of Discovery. Introducing the Breen, it really was sort of for the first time because we really knew nothing about them except for they looked like they were dressed like Return of the Jedi Princess Leia. Um, at least in those first scenes with Jabba before the gold bikini became a thing. Anyway, seeing what the Breen looked like, finding out they were sort of shapeshifty, which made sense because they had a little bit of a friendship going with the shapeshifters on DS9, it kind of made sense. And then learning so much about their hierarchy, that there are different families, that there is a succession, a line of succession, I should say. Yeah, this was all new information. And so it wasn't really paying fan service. It was finally giving us answers to questions we'd had for years now. In this article, it looks like he also discusses some of the 32nd century tech and how he'll be approaching it for Starfleet Academy. There's an army of people who pore over every aspect of every season, so you're always looking for what was the last closest era. What did we see there and then, and how would we evolve from there? The continuity from Enterprise all the way to Discovery, you want to feel that each show in some form is represented in the sum total of what Discovery looks like or what anything in the 32nd century looks like. We took a risk in the 32nd century because we started separating the ship's parts in a way that hadn't been done before. And in Starfleet Academy, we will end up explaining how that works. Oh, that'll be nice. Which is actually interesting because one of the questions that we always ask ourselves is, what is the reality of this? It can't be magic. So, what's actually going on there? So, things like floating the cells, they'll have an explanation now. And I know that fans like my mother would be very pleased with this. One of the reasons why the whole family really enjoyed Star Trek is that my mom, who taught science, loved the fact that they would actually get science advisors to explain how these things could work, to give them proper analogies and words and titles for things that were spacey and didn't exist, but could be in the realm of possibility theoretically, and that's why we love Star Trek. Now, this whole thing is taken from a interview that's given, and I will include the YouTube link for that down below with everything else that I'm showing here today. And I'm going to switch gears just the tiniest bit here because I'm going to talk about, well, people who just want to be part of Star Trek. It's sort of great, I have to say. All right, I've got this great Screen Rant article that kind of lays it out, but it was really fun to watch in real time on Twitter, I have to say. But I love the choices here because it really did become sort of apparent that it was between two redheads. At least on my timeline. I follow both Bonnie and Felicia Day. I've adored Felicia Day since she was a Slayerette on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I would love to see her join the Star Trek family. In fact, I just met her at my last convention for the first time, told her I adored her. We had a nice little chat. She's super cool. I think she'd make a wonderful addition to the Star Trek family. Also, let's give Bonnie something in real life. Great. She's voicing stuff, and I'm fantastic with that. But she's a great actress, and she has a fantastic presence. Put her on screen. But yeah, as I said, in real time, this was funny to watch. Felicia Day put out a post. If any screenwriters I follow or follow me are working on Starfleet Academy, please consider me for anything. It's my dream show. So I don't actually know if it was anything. It seemed like they wanted to be anything Star Trek, but Star Trek Starfleet Academy, that I especially could see Felicia in because she is a jovial character. She'd be a great teacher on there. I could very much see her trying to keep people in line at the same time, kind of joking. She could play serious. She could play funny. She does both very well. But as long as they were a perky character, I think I've always enjoyed her when she's playing a perky character with a sense of humor. I don't know. see Charlie, Supernatural, if you're not sure what I mean. And then Bonnie's out here, same thing. I'm loving all these amazing casting announcements for Starfleet Academy, and I can't wait to see who they add next. With that being said, how do I audition? I want to join Starfleet. And again, she is already part of Starfleet, but I'm not going to complain. Two redheads on the same show? Would they dare? One more last piece of information, and I know a lot of you are just going to click off right now according to my analytics. It's okay, I understand. And don't forget to subscribe and like before you go if you enjoyed this video. And don't forget to hit that notification bell also so you know when the next bell comes out. And thank you so much for joining us. For anybody who's sticking around, yeah, this is over. Yeah, Paramount's guidance, it's kaput. Apparently, nobody could come to terms that everyone could agree upon. And so now Paramount is back into the lurch, which is kind of where they've been the whole time anyway. But in case you're wondering, Yahoo Finance put out a very nice little timeline, and I'm just going to show you the last little bit here where it says that from April 29th to June 11th, I should say, everybody's been kind of thinking about it, kind of thinking about stuff, and nobody made a decision, and now nobody knows what the heck's going to happen, which is, like I said, kind of where we were before. When I recorded this video earlier, I somehow omitted a very important piece of information affecting our very own Terry Matalas, and that is that he is expected to be writing a script for the rebooted version of Enemy Mine. Yeah, this is an 80s show that came out, not show, movie. It was really good, quite frankly. As you can see from the image below here, I think I covered up the name, but I swear it's there. It starred Louis Gossett Jr. and Dennis Quaid, and it was a fantastic movie. It's one that back in the days when you had to go rent a movie, I would rent it multiple times. I adored this movie, and it is your classic what happens if two enemies are stranded on an island scenario, only it's a planet. It might have been a moon, but I'm pretty sure it was a planet. They have limited food supplies, limited anything supplies, and they have to find a way to survive together. And it's really an amazing adventure, but also a great friendship that, I cried. I was very young when this came out, or I think around 10, 11 years old. I cried when it came out. I cried when I rewatched it. There's joy in it as well. And so, as someone who really does not care for reboots, I'm quite interested to see what Terry Matalas does with one of my favorite sci-fi movies as a kid. Now, on to the rest of the video, which I had already pre-recorded. And right now, quite frankly, I feel like that's appropriately updated to, we don't know Jack. So, yes, if you did hear that last little bit, hey, thanks for sticking with me for the extra few seconds of me going, we don't know squat. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you'd like to hear more. Hit that notifications bell so you know when the next video comes out. Be aware that I also cover Outlander. It's a fun time travel history show about a nurse and a guy in a kilt. It's a whole thing. Please check that out on Stars if you'd like to. It's got swords and fighting and time travel, and people do it a lot. So hey, good stuff. If you don't think you've got enough Star Trek information, please do check out any of my Star Trek updates from before. Of course, there are Outlander ones there. And if you choose one, guess what? When you pick it, I'll see you there.